Hello, my name is Benji and welcome to Dice vs Cards. Today we get down and dirty to find out which of the now annual Battleforce releases are worth your time and precious dollaros. For those of you familiar with our previous buyer's guides, we're going to be bringing you grades for each of these products in the form of what value they provide for painters and modelers. In other words, how much volume and variety of models are you getting? Value for points, as in how much power and or points will this get me on the battlefield, and could it be a legal army straight out of the box? And finally, overall value for money, or how much would this have cost you buying each unit separately? We'll be grading these boxes comparatively, so even a poorer mark will not negate the fact that you're still getting decent value for money like most of GW's box sets. It's just a matter of how much. It should also be noted that although these aren't being billed as approximate 1000 point starter armies, or the alternative 50 power in 40k, we'll still be assessing these as potential starter products that could constitute that next step from start collecting boxes. The only difference of course being that these Battleforces are in limited supply. Calling all cars, it's future Benji here. A version of myself that has had the misfortune of witnessing the appalling events of this past weekend. If you logged in at any time over 24 hours after the pre-orders went up on Saturday, you would have been greeted with this sight. Absolutely glorious consumer viewing, I'm sure you'll agree. Okay, I accept that limited supply items are going to sell out at some point. But when you're labelling them as Christmas gifts, you'd expect a little bit more than this nonsense. So Merry Christmas scalpers, you excellent people. And shame on you GW for not printing more of these Battleforces, so those that wanted to unwrap these on the 25th actually could. Alas, the remainder of this video will be kept as is and would be good for both posterity and for those that are able to still get hold of a copy from somewhere. Future Benji, over and out. One interesting point of note before we crack on is that there are 6 boxes for 40k and only 4 for Age of Sigmar. Only GW know why that is. Maybe it's because 40k 9th edition is being pushed so hard at the moment, but just as likely it's because it's the more popular system. What I find somewhat odd as well is the uneven distribution between alliances in both systems, with Chaos getting short shrift in 40k, with a lot of love being shown to Xenos races, albeit not unreasonably so, and Death getting hosed in Age of Sigmar with no representation whatsoever, in favour of 2 destruction boxes. So in today's video we'll be covering the 40k ones, and then next week we'll mosey on over to the Mortal Realms. First up is Space Marines. Yep, there was no way they weren't doing a Space Marines Battleforce. Even I, Benji, as a Space Vikings player, feel a little bit overwhelmed by all the bulk products I've had available to me in recent months though. With that out the way, this box is packing 1 HQ, 1 troop, 2 elite and 1 dedicated transport choice, warranting a C for value for painters, another uninspiring C for value for power, and an overall C for value for money. I think I actually wept tears of boredom reading out those vanilla grades, and to top it off, this set doesn't really stack up as a starter set for an incursion sized army, although it does meet the requirements for a patrol detachment. The only other Imperium box, Astra Militarum, certainly looks intriguing with a fair bit of variety on offer, with 1 HQ, 2 troop, 1 fast attack, 2 heavy support and 1 dedicated transport choice. There's a lot to like about that selection, but it still only adds up to a B for value for painters, which is nothing to be sniffed at, but things take a nosedive though, with a D in terms of value for power, as is somewhat to be expected from a non-elite army, but things start looking up again with a B for overall value for money. No mean feat considering a lot of these moulds are quite old indeed. Now, in terms of force organisation, this makes a great selection of units, but the power just doesn't add up. In fact, this is a better fit for a 25 power or 500 point combat patrol army. Going full traitor next, we have a Chaos Space Marines box that has a very similar setup to their loyalist cousins, by divorce, the Goody Two Shoes Marines. Rocking 1 HQ, 1 troop, 1 elite and 2 heavy support choices is a little bit top heavy, making it out of the gates more of a supplementary product. In terms of value for painters, we're looking at a C, not too shabby, not too great either. A similar C for value for power, as we're stuck in no man's land between a combat patrol and incursion sized army. And finally, a paltry D for overall value for money. Things are just a little bit undercooked in this box, and as I've already alluded to, this is nowhere near consideration as a starter box. Moving to the Xenos races, we have the heavily pushed Necrons, with their very fresh coat of paint and new shiznit. Their box comprises of 1 HQ, 2 troop, 3 elite and 1 flyer choice that can double as a transport as well. So pretty great in terms of providing a solid core to an army, but with only so much variety. This all deserves a C for value for painters, because there's actually less here in terms of volume and variety than you might think. An improved B for value for power, as you're edging towards that 50 power or 1000 point mark with minimal investment on top. And an even better A for overall value for money. In fact, being the best value out of the lot. It's also a solid starter type product. Not only have you got a patrol detachment here, you're well on your way to a battalion as well. From the undead to a relatively friendly bunch in the form of the Tau Empire. Now, to be fair, there's a lot of padding on offer here, which I'll come on to, but that doesn't necessarily mean we're down in the dumps either. With a selection of 1 HQ, 1 troop, 1 elite, 2 fast attack and 1 heavy support, you have almost all the colours of a rainbow, and so we're giving this an A for value for painters. There's a lot going on, even if there are an absolute mountain of drones included. You're still getting a decent amount of value for power, enough to give a B for said mark, and only just behind the Necrons in this regard. A B for value for money rounds out the marks for what is ultimately an excellent package for the fishheads. Furthermore, this is a solid pseudo starter product should you be looking to get into the shootiest of shooty armies. Rounding out this year's 40k package is the Tyranids. Now, whilst they ain't pretty, they do have a fairly well rounded 2020 Battleforces size set of plastic, consisting of 1 HQ, 2 troop, 1 elite, 1 fast attack and 1 heavy support choice. You can't grumble with the variety, and it warrants a B for value for painters, only bettered by the Tau that we've already mentioned. Nothing but net for the rest of the grades though, with an A for value for power. This is the closest we get to an out of the box incursion sized army. You needn't buy anything else to play this size game. And then finally an A for overall value for money. There's absolutely nothing to be disappointed about with this box, as it really does represent a great starter and supplementary product. So there you have it, a surprisingly up and down set of products in terms of value, but as I said at the outset, no matter which way you look at it, these boxes come packed with loads of goodies. However, that's it from me. I'll see you next time.